Tennis superstar Naomi Osaka is back at home, arriving in Los Angeles one day after pulling out of the French Open. The organizers of the Grand Slam tournaments now reaching out to Osaka, offering support.
Yes, sir. Be Grace TV. We're back at it again. Another episode of the check-in. I'm super excited for this week's episode. I'm not going to waste any time with the intro, man. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Kicking this week's check-in off with an extremely important story out of the sports world. When I heard this last week, I was both excited and also saddened by the story. But Naomi Osaka, the number 2 tennis player in the world, also read that she's like the highest paid female athlete. So we're not talking about just anybody here. Naomi Osaka has made an announcement that she's withdrawing from one of the biggest tennis tournaments that are out there, the French Open. It all started last week when Naomi took to Twitter regarding press conferences at the French Open, and she had this to say. "Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm writing this to say that I'm not going to do any press at Roland Garros. I've often felt that people have no regard for athletes' mental health, and this rings very true whenever I see a press conference or partake in one. We're often sat there and asked questions that we've been asked multiple times before, or asked questions that bring doubt into our minds, and I'm just not going to subject myself to people that doubt me. I've watched many clips of athletes breaking down after a loss in the press room, and I know you have as well. I believe that whole situation is kicking a person while they're down, and I don't understand the reasoning behind it. Me not doing press is nothing personal to the tournament and a couple of journalists that have interviewed me since I was young, so I have a friendly relationship with most of them. However, if organizations think that they can just keep saying, do press or you're gonna get fined, and continue to ignore the mental health of the athletes that are the centerpiece of their corporation, then I just gotta laugh. Anyways, I hope the considerable amount that I will get fined for this will go towards a mental health charity. XOXO, peace sign, and heart emoji. I got to give a big shout out to Naomi Osaka because being the number 2 tennis player in the world, being the highest paid female athlete in the world, being in the position that she's in, we've seen it happen. We've seen Colin Kaepernick. We've seen Kyrie Irving earlier this year in the basketball season. Whenever you prioritize yourself, whenever you say, look, I'm not good, I got to take time off. I understand you got these millions coming in and you got all this money flowing, but hey, I'm more important. This has to stop. I'm taking the precautions necessary to take care of myself. Not only do I applaud it, but I feel like as a society, we have to applaud it because this is something that we're often bullied into. We're forced to believe that we have to work. We have to work ourselves to death. We have to burn ourselves out. We have to grind so hard. Now, I have a personal story that I'm going to tell here in a little bit. We're not done with Naomi's story, but this is extremely important in today's society where I just feel like the burnout is so real. Everyone is burnt out. Everyone's tired. Even during the pandemic, everyone is burnt out and tired. There's so much going on. Mental health plays such a huge role in everything that's going on. I feel like in the last year and a half or so, people have kind of come to put that together and are addressing mental health now that they have to sit at home and are forced to face it. I'm not saying this is the case in Naomi Osaka. I'm just kind of going on this rant stream about mental health because I'm very passionate about this. But Naomi Osaka released a statement and she was very honest. She was very clear in why she was doing what she was doing. And basically the French Open said, that's cool, but we still gonna fine you. And it was pretty disappointing to hear that she was gonna be fined. I wanna say it was 15,000. I don't know the exact number. I don't know if it was 15,000 per press conference or just a flat $15,000 fine that she was gonna have to pay. But following this statement, about 5 days later, Naomi Osaka took to social media once again to release another fairly lengthy statement, and I'm gonna read it right here for you. Hey everyone, this isn't a situation I ever imagined or intended when I posted a few days ago. I think now the best thing for the tournament, the other players, and my well-being is that I withdraw so everyone can get back to focusing on the tennis going on in Paris. I never wanted to be a distraction, and I accept that my timing was not ideal and my message could have been clear. More importantly, I would never trivialize mental health or use the term lightly. The truth is that I have suffered long bouts of depression since the US Open in 2018, and I have had a really hard time coping with that. Anyone that knows me knows I'm introverted, And anyone that has seen me at tournaments will notice that I'm often wearing headphones, as that helps dull my social anxiety. Though the tennis press has always been kind to me, and I want to apologize, especially to all the cool journalists who I may have hurt. I am not a natural public speaker, and I get huge waves of anxiety before I speak to the world's media. I really get nervous, and I find it stressful to always engage and give you the best answers I can. So here in Paris, I was already feeling vulnerable and anxious, so I thought it was better to exercise self-care and skip press conferences. I announced it preemptively because I do feel like the rules are quite outdated in part, and I wanted to highlight that. I wrote privately to the tournament apologizing and saying that I would be more than happy to speak with them after the tournament, as the slams are intense. I'm gonna take some time away from the court now, but when the time is right, I really want to work with the tour to discuss ways we can make things better for the players, press, and fans. Anyways, hope you're all doing great, staying safe. Love you guys. I see you when I see you. Now, when I tell you that after reading these statements from Naomi Osaka, I was already a fan just because of how she carries herself, not only the way she performs on the court, but how she carries herself off the court. This right here, man, it's powerful. Like I said, to be 23 years old and to make this statement, to have this stance to say, she even said it here, I'm gonna exercise some self-care, fuck your press conference, fuck whatever it is you got going on, I'm more important. And I think that's beautiful, especially coming from a 23-year-old. It took me to the age of 32 to say that, to do that for myself. And I wanted to highlight this because it is something that is so important, that so many people find themselves in this scenario where mentally, physically, they're not doing well, but they push through because they can, because they have a job, they have money, they have all of these other circumstances that are forcing them into this situation. Hats off to Naomi Osaka. I hope everything that she's doing does bring some change. Like, you know, I mentioned we talked about Serena Williams and everything that she's gone through and just how the media has attacked her, and as a black woman, the arrows that she's had to take throughout her career. Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job, never was able to recover from taking a stand with the NFL. And we saw it earlier in the NBA this season. Kyrie Irving going through a lot with George Floyd and everything happening off the court and in this country. And his mind just wasn't in basketball. He said it. I'm not too worried about playing basketball. I have all these family things and other things going on. I'm not fit to play. I'm going to take a few weeks away and take care of myself. I salute it. I applaud it. I understand that there are millions of dollars on the line. But at the end of the day, people, man, we only have one life, and we can't spend it for other people's entertainment, for other people's profit gain. So shout out to Naomi Osaka. This is extremely powerful. It's a power move. It's a power play, and I love it. Shout out to her. But with that being said, I did want to share with you guys a bit of a personal story, and I think it's interesting because these check-ins, if you guys haven't noticed, the point of these check-ins was to kind of, for me to come in here and talk to you all about where I'm at mentally, emotionally. And I remember when I first started doing these, I didn't know how to do it. I necessarily didn't want to jump right into it because I felt like it was just a lot to jump into the mental health conversation right off the bat. But I feel like the past few weeks, just various stories have presented the opportunity to share with you all things that I've gone through in my life. When I was hearing about this Naomi Osaka situation, it reminded me of something that I'm still going through right now. I've gone through the worst of it, but still, you know, with the depression and anxiety, I feel Naomi Osaka because while I was living in LA, I was going through a very tough time with my depression, and there was a lot of personal factors that were going into that. Being away from home was a huge factor of that. Just it was a lot of things going on when I was living in LA, and I basically reached a point to where I couldn't work anymore. And I know that sounds... But I basically reached a point to where I couldn't work anymore. And this was tough because I didn't know how to navigate it. I mean, I was going to work, I would sit at my desk and I would literally just start crying. Like she talks about these huge waves of anxiety. I know the feeling. I would sit at my desk, open the laptop, and I would feel that rush. And I remember tears would just come. I remember one morning specifically, I had gotten there early because I had so much work to do. Got to work early, literally opened my laptop, and I just started bawling. I just started crying. One of the big bosses was the only ones there, and I remember walking into his office with tears in my eyes, just saying, hey man, I can't work today. I gotta go home. So I ended up going home, and like I said, for a couple of months there, it was rough because it was literally me calling in every other day. I'd used up all my sick leave. I think at some point I was even calling out sick when I didn't even have any sick leave. I was just taking the loss on the money because that's how bad I was doing. And eventually, going to therapy, talking to my therapist, we had basically worked something out where they were going to take me out of work and they were going to pull me out of work. And like I say, it reminded me of this Naomi Osaka situation because I remember going through my situation feeling extremely frustrated because I was like, yo, I'm not good. And I know I'm not good, but there's so many different tests and paperwork and things and hoops that I got to jump through just to be able to take the time to give to myself and repair my mental health. And it's one of those things that I thought about, and I feel extremely grateful and blessed that I was able to have a therapist and a doctor that say, nah, we've taken you out of here. You got to focus on yourself. But I realize that so many people don't have that. So many people are just stuck and they have to grind and they have to go through that burnout and they have to reach that point of no return. And I'm blessed that I didn't get there. But to kind of continue on the story, I was out of work, and shit, I'm still out of work. I still feel like I fully haven't recovered. And that's the thing, because I applaud Naomi Osaka because in a way, this is a huge sacrifice for her. She's in a lot of ways sacrificing her career. Again, we talk about Colin Kaepernick. He made a stand and he still hasn't had his career back. Granted, he's made another lane and he's been able to highlight all the things he's wanted to highlight because of that. But the thing that he loved, the thing that he wanted to do with his life was no longer able to do because of this stand that he wanted to make. So I say that in my situation, I applaud her because it's tough. For me, I feel like in a lot of ways, I had to sacrifice my career for my mental and physical health. It's a sacrifice that's 100% worth it, but sometimes I do sit back and think like, damn, I do miss doing what I was doing. I do miss where I was at. I do miss the people I was working with. So it is tough in that aspect, but it's something that's extremely difficult. And I guess I say all that to say that if you're going through this, there are options. Like I said, I went to my therapist and was telling him how I was feeling, and he gave me a list of things we can do. Hey, we can pull you out of work. Hey, we can reduce your work. So I guess I would say that if you're feeling like you're burnt out, your mental health is just not right, you just need time, you got to take the time for yourself. It's very hard because we're very routine people. We're very regimented. We're used to just doing it, going to work, getting it done, knocking it out. Same cycle repeats. But trust me, when you take a second to stop and just look at life, take a second to assess things, take a second to look deep into yourself, to kind of understand yourself, it is the best thing that you can ever do for yourself. And I just want to say that as somebody who went through it, somebody who fought it for years. I fought the self-care, I fought the self-work, I fought it for years, but it's the best thing I could have did. My doctor pulled me out of work. I ended up losing that job because when they wanted me to go back, I wasn't ready to go back. My therapist wasn't ready for me to go back. I lost that job, didn't know what to do. Still in a way don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm here and I'm happy and I'm healthy and I'm in, mentally, physically the best shape that I've ever been in my life. So for that, I could never regret making that decision. And I know Naomi Osaka will never forget, will never regret making that decision to put herself first. So for everybody out there watching, I hate to get all preachy because I'm not that dude. I don't know nothing. I just been through different things in life. But I will say, take the time for yourself. It's the most important thing that you could do. I promise you, you will never regret it. There's no job, there's no person, there's no circumstance that's more important than yourself. Take care of you. And really, that's that for this week's episode, man. I didn't have a lot to get into, but I had a lot to get into, if you could see. A couple of housekeeping things. I do want to shout out everybody who's been reaching out to me about these check-ins. As the weeks go on, I get more and more feedback. I get more and more love. And shit, man, I just appreciate y'all watching these. Like I said, I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos, so I definitely appreciate everybody watching them, everybody giving me the feedback saying they love them, everybody everybody, all the constructive criticism that everyone is giving me since I've been back doing the YouTube thing. I definitely appreciate you. With that being said, make sure you go check out my brand new video that I dropped on Sunday. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, I dropped it on Sunday. It don't matter whenever you're watching this. Go check out the Art of Sampling, Dr. Dre. It's a new video series that I want to have here on the channel. If you know me, you know that sampling might be my favorite thing about music and about hip hop specifically. So a lot of different avenues and areas I'm gonna go with this video series, but we kicked it off highlighting Dr. Dre. If you love West Coast music, if you love hip hop, if you love Dr. Dre, make sure you check that out. Link in the description. I'm gonna put the little link right here so you can go ahead and just click that thing and go where you got to go and check out that new video. But with that being said, I'm about to get up out of here, man. I do appreciate you rocking with me this week on the check-in. Until next week, we are back at it. I'm out.